quite why a nation with one of the wettest, most miserable climates on planet Earth would become experts at making cars with virtually no weather protection is anyone's guess. But we Brits are brilliant at building small, lightweight sports cars. Caterham and Morgan are the backbones of this flourishing industry. The new Morgan three-wheeler needs no introduction. Out front is an S&S V-twin displacing 1983cc and producing what Morgan estimates to be 80 horsepower at the rear wheel. Call that 115 at the crank. The little blob weighs around 550 kilograms minus occupants. The wheels are 19 inches in diameter up front, but just 3.5 inches wide. The single rear is a 175/55. There are planks of wood on there somewhere too. At 30 grand basic, you could argue that this car has no real rivals.
Let's discuss what it is that makes this car so special. First things first, it's missing a wheel. Now that is very significant. It immediately means that the car feels very, very special. Just because of its dimensions and just because everyone looks at you wherever you go. You could be driving around in a bright pink Lamborghini with an enormous penis painted on the bonnet and no one would look at you because there's a Morgan right next to you. And that's the way things should be, because it really is a special little car. I find it really, really hard to judge the Morgan three-wheeler as a driving experience. You almost can't judge it in modern conventional car terms because it bears no resemblance to the way most modern cars drive. The best way to describe it is to treat it as an old car. It's like getting in a modern classic. You therefore don't take any liberties with the amount of grip it's got in terms of cornering grip or braking. You think about every action and you don't drive it that fast. But even when you're going very slowly, it's an event. Everything about it is memorable. I've got this big steering wheel. It's way too high for me. It's about the height of my forehead. The pedal box is adjustable, can come back to meet me, but it's okay. The seat's moderately comfortable, quite nicely padded and quilted. I could sit in it for quite a long time. I attempted to cruise quite fast in it yesterday, and it was pretty tiring, but then that's not what it's about, is it? The steering's pretty accurate, it's quite light, and even though it's unassisted, it doesn't actually have a vast amount of feel to it. The handling is just hilarious. Look how narrow those front tyres are. You turn the car and it turns quite quickly in response, but immediately that you overstep the grip a bit, you get this very, very benign understeer, so the front just washes out. The problem being, if you back off and try and use a trailing throttle to bring it round, it doesn't come back too quickly. So you have to be careful. If you overstep the mark, make sure you've got some space around you. In terms of oversteer, if you clog it in first and second gears, it's hilarious. T-junctions, half throttle in first gear on a slightly damp road is nicely sideways. Full throttle, fully sideways. Even in the dry, it lights up that single rear tyre very easily. And as you can see from some of these shots, it will slither about in the most hilarious way, although the way that front tyre squirms away from the sidewall under heavy cornering is a bit alarming when you look at it on camera, but you just don't realise it when you're in the car. I think it presents a really pleasant face to the world. It says I'm a car enthusiast, but I'm not too greedy. It says I love machinery, but I'm not obsessed about going too fast. It says I like the principles of driving, i.e. I like being busy. I don't need to go too fast to enjoy myself. And it also says that I don't mind looking a little bit absurd. I don't need to be in some great big extended phallus to prove my wealth or lack of. The Morgan three-wheeler deconstructs driving as we know it and offers a completely different set of solutions. And I rather like them, particularly when the sun's out. There is great joy to be had driving this car slowly too. that V-twin S&S motor has got loads of torque, and I have to say the management of the feel of the throttle, the clutch pedal and the gear lever is really, really clever, because you can't help yourself just quickly swapping up and down the gearbox, feeling a bit more torque and then just rolling it around. It's lovely, lovely stuff. This is an MX-5 gearbox and it's a great choice. Is the car fast? Well, there is also some joy in driving it fast. For me, most of that joy is the incongruity of something that looks like this actually coming round quite quickly. So there's a sort of naughtiness factor. Technically, going quite quickly in it can be quite alarming. Damping's okay, but not that clever. And it'll start to get almost airborne in places, and then you're not quite sure what it'll do when it lands because it's missing a wheel. But I suppose I'm missing the point if I say I try and go really quickly in it, because it's not about that. This celebrates motoring for the sake of motoring. Look at me, I'm exposed to the elements. I'm doing 34 miles an hour at the moment, and it feels more alive at this speed than a 911 turbo does at 120. If you drive this thing at 80 with the roof as it is and with a pair of sunglasses on, it feels like you're doing about 700 miles an hour. It's brilliant fun. Yes, as you can tell, I'm enjoying myself. I can make a strong argument for this being one of the better recreational motor cars I've driven in a while. What a lovely thing.
You all know the Caterham. It's pretty easy to simply book the crazy R500 version for every test, but this new Supersports R model for 28,000 fully built looks like a winner to me. You get a 2-litre Duratec pushing 180 horsepower, a 535 kilogram curb weight, a locking rear differential and a smile so wide they'll think you're Jack Nicholson.
I need to slightly expose myself as being old, because when I first started doing this job, I don't know, a fair few years ago, a fast Caterham had 120 horsepower, a really fast Caterham had 160 horsepower, and a blinking quick Caterham had around 200 horsepower. This is the Caterham Supersport. It's a pretty delicious little package actually for a snick under 28 grand fully built. A 2-litre Duratec with what I was told was supposed to be a normal engine, not too fast. It has 182 horsepower. This car is really fast. After the Morgan, it feels a different world. We're not comparing the two cars like for like. This is more a celebration, as I said. What else do we get? We've got a locking diff. We've only got 5 gears, we're missing one. We've got tiny little 175 section rears, and we've got oversteer wherever we want it. We've also got a small, hirsute man sitting in the driver's seat, wondering why he hasn't driven one of these things in the last couple of years, because they are absolutely brilliant. I sometimes wish every car company that tries to make a sports car or a sporting version of a normal car would spend time in a Caterham. On the one hand, it would teach them so much about how a car should feel underneath you if you want a driver to really connect with it. On the other hand, I fear that they would say, well, we just can't do that. Unless you've got something that's as light and as clever and as simple as the 7, you just can't achieve it. The steering's telepathic, it's just gorgeous. And even this supposedly not too aggressive example to me feels like a really, really fast car. It's on those little CR500 tyres, it's got loads of grip. Oh. You can enjoy driving the Caterham slowly, you're exposed to the elements, a lot less exposed than the Morgan. This feels like an SL Mercedes after that thing. But actually the difference here is that the Caterham wants to be driven in a different manner. It wants you to behave a little bit naughtily with it, and I can't really resist it. Look, you see, I didn't mean to, but suddenly we're accelerating, and now we're going faster! feel I can place it where I want to place it. And even though the suspension is good, it still feels a little bit skittish, so it feels alive on the road. It's moving around the whole time. If I hit big bumps, it gets deflected. Not in an uncouth manner, not in a way that would lead me to say that it's a bad car, but just enough to keep me on my toes. The Caterham does that, it keeps you on your toes. Porsche and Ferrari don't make a car that can give me the experience I'm having now. That's quite an important distinction. Love driving them, absolutely love driving them. The braking performance, I mean, you look at those brake discs, they're tiny, but because of the lack of mass, the thing just stops in a way that any supercar couldn't hope to match. And you're on your own, no ABS, no nothing. Sort your braking out. If you get it right, well done. If you get it wrong, you're off. I haven't driven one in ages. I feel guilty. I feel like I've let my car-loving genes down by not getting my fix. I should have been doing this more regularly. This is what it's all about. Small amount of throttle changes the line in the corner. You can get these little delicious slides on, not big ugly drifts like I do the whole time, but little infinitesimal slides. They're lovely. Oh, yeah. There is no substitute for this. There is no substitute. The move to Ford Duratex many years ago gave a more reliable engine, just a little bit heavier and a lot more torque, so I'm now in fifth gear, 40 miles an hour, and I accelerate and I get instant urge. I mean, a K-Series car, it would have been a splutter and nothing. I slightly miss the zaniness of those VHPE K-Series engines where they would explode above 6,500 RPM and fire off towards 8,500. This is kind of all done around 7. But on the road, the torque is lovely. This 5-speed gearbox, it doesn't feel quite as slick sometimes to me as the 6. You've really got to help it with a good amount of blip on the way down through the gears. Reverse is a total pain to get to, but then who cares? And this simple dashboard, I just feel like I've come home. Everything's spread about in a fairly random fashion, but you can reach it all. And there's even a fag lighter under there. Can something so basic be worth nearly £28,000? If you love driving, of course it can. This is absolutely pure. You know, if you could, you wouldn't buy amphetamine with something in it, you'd buy absolutely pure amphetamine. And that's what this car is. Oh, it's been a tonic today. I've loved driving it. Wow. Maybe I should own one.
These cars remind us what driving, and in a wider sense what motoring, is all about. It's about the sensations of controlling a machine, not the speed with which you cover ground, although both of these cars are very, very quick. But it's also about the adventure. Wrap up warm and cover 150 early morning miles in either, and you'll be reminded why you loved cars as a kid, why your first time behind the wheel was one of your defining moments in life. These, then, are the essence of driving.